Okay, live na tayo. Magandang gabi, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode or very special edition ng Pinoy Blade Chat dito sa Pinoy Blade Hunter. Itong gabi na to ay inaalay namin sa ating pinagpipitaganan, lubos na ginagalang na haligi. Kumbaga, isa sa mga tumatayong pundasyon ng pagbabalisong sa Batangas at ng blade culture in general, no? Itong gabi na to ay para kay pagbibigay pugay kay Mang Diosdado Ona. Okay, at makakasama natin ngayong gabi ilan sa mga kaibigan ni Mang Dado. Yan, mga nakasama, mga syempre sa blade community, iba-iba naman tayo mga nakahalubilo ni Mang Dado. So makakasama natin si Mr. Ramon Bathan ng Balisong, Batangas. Yan, magandang gabi sa iyo. Mamay Ramon.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Mamay Ramon po.
Okay, Mamay Ramon ng Balisong, Batangas. Makakasama rin natin ngayong gabi si Mr. Ram Makimot, isang batang-bata na panday.
Gandang gabi. Hindi na bata, 32 na.
Bata pa rin. Okay, so isa sa mga pinakabatang nagpapanday ng custom blades sa Pilipinas. Isa din sa mga, kumbaga, 'di ba, ikaw Ram ay parang tinuturing mo na mentor.
Si Tatay Ona.
Si Mang Dado pala. Okay, sige. And kasama rin natin admin ng Filipino Traditional Blades Facebook page, si Mr. Randy Salazar. Magandang gabi sa iyo, Mang Randy.
Magandang gabi mga kapatid, magandang gabi sa lahat.
Okay, magandang gabi everyone sa lahat ng mga nanonood. Pwede kayong mag-comment sa ating comment section, nakikita natin yan dito. Tapos i-show natin yan katulad ni Mr. Job Abat. Magandang gabi. Yan, magandang gabi. Salamat sa panonood. Ayan. Pero unang-una, yun nga, nabanggit ko kanina, itong gabi na to ay isang special na gabi. Isang special na episode dahil inaalay namin to kay Mang Diosdado Ona. At nagpaalam kami sa family na ipa-flash namin. Yan, para throughout this stream, kung gusto man, kung sino man na gusto mag-abuloy, yan, straight to their own GCash account. So, ang naka-flash po dyan sa baba ay ang pangalan ng kanyang apo, number ng kanyang apo, straight sa kanilang GCash account. Kung gusto nyo lang naman. Kumbaga, kasi diba, hindi naman sa parang tradisyon na rin sa sa mga namayapa, no? Kumbaga hindi naman dahil sa kung ano man, parang tumutulong lang. Ganon. Okay, so sige, simulan na natin. Sige, habang siguro po bilang panimula, pakilala muna tayo, round table. Tapos siguro ano yung mga experiences natin kay Mang Dado. Simulan natin sa pinakabata, Mamay Ramon.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Ako po si Mamay Ramon kung tawagin. Ako po ang may-ari ng page na Balisong Batangas ng ITAC. Isa rin ho akong admin sa Traditional Weapons. Collector po ng mga fixed blade, saka mahilig po sa Balisong dahil kinalakihan Batanggenyo po ako. Ang Manong Dado, kung tawagin ho namin Manong Dado dahil maliit po ako nung kilala ko yan dahil ang may kilala naman sa kanya yung tatay ko. Balisongero ho yung tatay ko. Handa ko ho, bata pa kami, sinasama ho kami dyan pagka magpapahasa o may bibilhin. And I've always known Manong Dado as a very humble, soft-spoken person. Hindi masyadong palasalita. Ang huling usapan ho namin yan nung pinaukitan ko yung meron ho siya kasing balisong na binili ko sa kanya ito. Pinaukitan ko ho ito dun sa taga-Antique. Nakita niyo ho yung ukit, kaya sabi niya, taking yung dalhin at aking sisilipin. Tutoy pala, aking sisilipin. So dapat December kami magkikita. Dahil the last time I went to Taal, wala siya nung namigay ang Balisong Batangas ng mga signage sa mga Bali houses. So, ever since that I have visited, every time nasa Taal o nasa Barangay Balisong, hinihimay ko yung pag-ikot sa mga Bali houses. At lagi kong huling pinupunta ng Manong Dado dahil yun nga pag sabay na sa kwento ang kape, he's always been kind and he's always been proud of his contributions and humble enough to say na parte lamang daw siya. Yun lagi sinasabi niya, parte lamang ako sa industriyang to at nagpapasalamat daw sa mga grupo, ng mga blade groups na tumutulong para patuloy buhayin yung kanilang pinalakas na industriya. So I've always known him to be a Manong Dado or an elder. And I will never forget yung mga payo niya lagi. Mahilig magpayo yan, unsolicited advice. Na pagpaalis ka na, doon magbibigay ng mga payo about napapansin niya sa mga blade groups. Although hindi siya masyadong active sa social media, mas active siya sa text. Ang mga payo niya na patungkol lagi sa pagpromote ng community, pagpapalawak ng industriya, ay parang nakatanim na lagi, ingrained na sa at patuloy ho siyang nagpapasalamat sa mga taong tumutulong. So that's my brief recollection of him. Hindi niya ako tanda. Every time na pupunta ako sa kanila, kailangan ipakilala ko ulit kung sino ang aking tatay, saan nagmula ang nanay, hanggang sa maaalala na niya yon. Pero pag naalala na niya, yun, doon ho siya magpapabless. Napaka-sweet na mama, tahimik, very soft-spoken, pero so much dedicated into the Balisong culture. Kaya is a big loss, but I would like to be a person who would promote and continue what he started in our own simple way dito po sa Balisong, Batangas.
Ayun, maraming salamat, Mamay Ramon. Ako naman, relate ako doon, no? Si Mang Dado, pag pumupunta ako, personally, pumupunta ako doon sa shop, matagal na. Pero hindi ko pa siya kilala as Mang Dado. Hindi ko alam yung kumbaga yung kanyang influence doon sa culture. Pero medyo kumbaga naging mas malinaw sa akin yung kanyang role na ginagampanan sa blade culture sa Balisong. Nung sumali ako doon sa group ng Filipino Blade Enthusiasts. Tapos sumali ako doon sa RAM, doon sa inyo, sa bahay nyo.
Sa Pandayan Sessions.
16 Pandayan Sessions. Tapos na-meet ko sila. Si Mang Dado, yan, si Ram, tapos sila Rayu Lim, yung iba pang mga panday, si Captain Freddy, doon ko rin unang na-meet. Yan, ganyan. So, doon ko sila personally unang nakausap. Tapos doon ko na-realize kung gaano sila ka-warm. Yan, si Mandado na, yun nga, siya, very personable person. Yung laging nakangiti pagkausap. Tapos after nung Pandayan Sessions, kada dadaan ako ng Taal, dadaan ako sa shop niya. Hindi man ako laging bibili. Actually, isang beses lang nga lang yata ako nakabili sa shop niya. Lahat ng punta ko dun sa shop niya, puro kwento lang. puro tanong lang. Ano po ito? Pwedeng patingin. Tapos wala naman siyang hesitance to show anything. Kumbaga kahit anong ituro mo, papakita niya ano yung, kumbaga titingnan mo, kikilatisin mo. Parang hindi katulad ng, kunyari sa palengke, di ba? Pagka tumingin ka ng isda, hindi pwedeng hawakan, hindi pwedeng pisilin. Siyempre sa Balisong, okay lang kahit himas-himasin mo, tingnan, busisiin, hanggang ganyan. Ayun. Tapos nung na-shoot natin si Ram. Di ba? Ram, na-shoot ka namin for real time sa GMA. Tapos pinuntahan din natin si Mang Dado nun na parang na-ambush din yata natin siya doon. Hindi naman natin siya na forewarn o na sabihan before. Umaga nagbaka sakali lang tayo na kung nandun siya. At nagkataon nga, nandun naman siya. So yun. That's my experience with Mang Dado. And then yun, tama. Perfect segue. Mapunta tayo sa iyo, Ram. Kasi kumbaga isa ka sa naging tulay ko to meet Mang Dado personally. Ikaw, Ram, ano mo? Kwentong buhay.
Si Tatay Ona kasi, na-meet ko siya way back 2007 na. Actually, medyo um, hindi naman sobrang tagal ko na siyang kilala, pero since 2007, nakilala ko na siya nung nagbakasyon ako from college life. So, being sword enthusiast during that time, naghahanap ako ng pwedeng mag-custom ng sword for me. So, na-meet ko si Tatay Ona. Tapos, nakita ko nga, gaganda nung mga balisong niya. And then, unfortunately, um, hindi naman sila gumagawa nung katana or samurai sword based on my specifications. But, from that moment, na-realize ko na napaka-accommodating ni Tatay Ona since kahit hindi kanya kilala, tapos yun nga, sabi mo nga, napaka-warm niyang tao and soft-spoken nga. And then, yun, kumbaga pag pumupunta ako ng Taal, hindi talaga pwedeng hindi ako dadaan sa shop niya. Kahit wala din akong bibilhin, kahit kwentuhan lang. Andun lang. Tapos, ang nakakatawa nun, tuwing bibisita ako doon, lagi niya ako tinatanong kung may asawa na daw ba ako o may girlfriend na. So, lagi niyang hinihiling lang sa akin is the best for me. Kumbaga, pag sa labas ng bahay, parang siya na yung second father ko. Or parang lolo, ganun. Na kung ano yung nakakabuti sa apo, yun na yung sinasabi nila sa'yo. Actually, lahat ng punta ko doon, hindi blade-related yung inaano niya sa akin. Although, nararamdaman ko, ramdam ko naman talaga na proud siya sa mga naging achievements ko. Sabi niya, ipagpatuloy ko lang daw lagi yung ginagawa ko, kung ano yung nagpapasaya sa akin about sa blades. And then, maghanap daw ako ng asawa. Yun lang yung lagi niya sinasabi, paulit-ulit. Maghanap ako ng asawa. Unfortunately, yun nga, parang last day, na maalam na siya. So, wala na siya doon. Pag may papakilala na ako. Yun, sobrang namimiss ko si tatay kasi lagi siyang nagbibigay sa akin ng payo tungkol sa buhay. Hindi man puro blade yung yung pinag-usapan namin, but he's more of a mentor about life. Yun yung binigay niya sa akin na as who he is. Parang tumayo siyang lolo and tatay. Kaya ang tawag ko sa kanya is Tatay Ona kasi yun yung naging naramdaman kong band namin as parang father and son or grandfather and son.
Okay, thank you, Ram, sa iyong sharing ang pagbabahagi. And now, punta tayo kay Sir Randy Salazar. Ikaw, ito, for those who don't know Randy, si Randy ay nasa Cebu. So, nasa Visayas siya. Pero, Sir Randy, nakasalamuha mo ba si Mang Dado in one way or another?
Magandang gabi sa lahat. Una sa lahat, nakikiramay ako sa naiwang pamilya ni Tatay Ona. Tatay Ona tawag ko sa kanya dahil hindi pa naman kami nag-meet in person. My interaction sa kanya noon was we were getting in touch with him, asking to, nagpapaalam kami kung pwedeng i-feature ang Ona's Batangas Blade. Based on my interaction sa kanya, napaka-bait na tao. Hindi nga siya nag-hard sell sa iyo eh. You know, kalat no sa blade community the quality of his blades, but he never forces na bumili ka sa kanya. Kung may tanong ka, sasagutin niya. He will offer to you the information na kailangan mong malaman, but at the same time, he will tell you na ito yung mga balisong niya. However, he does not hard sell. In a way, I was actually hoping na one of these days magagawi ako sa kanya at saka mapagbisita. Sayang, parang lost opportunity na pinaghihinayang natin na I never got to shake the hand of Tatay Ona. So yun ang recollection ko sa kanya. We did a feature on him a few years back. And message kami on Facebook. Yun nga, sumasagot siya talaga sa mga private messages sa kanya.
Mm-hmm.
Sayang, parang ang bilis lang nakakagulat na balita.
Oo nga. Tsaka siya, alam mo kapag siya mismo yung sumasagot dun sa page niya tsaka dun sa personal profile niya. I'm not sure kung meron pang ibang nag-handle nung page nila, pero parang alam mo pag siya yung sumasagot. Yung parang may personal touch na ganon. So yun, thank you Mr. Randy. So at this point siguro habang hinihintay natin yung iba pa natin maging makakasama, ano, i-shoutout muna natin yung mga nagko-comment dito sa baba. Ito mga kasama din natin sa Blade community. Of course, number 1, unang-unang commenter natin si Mr. Job Abat. Oh, magandang gabi sa inyo.
Magandang
Good
gabi,
evening po. Marilet Katapang Mendoza, good evening. Yan, Jeff Gutierrez Tadena, magandang gabi. Si Mr. Axel Perwisio. Yan, I'm assuming ito kaya yung totoong pangalan ni Mr. Axel Perwisio. Anyway, magandang gabi sa iyo. So madalas ito nagko-comment sa ating mga post, ano. Basti Sebastian Ona, so siguro ito ay magandang gabi sa inyo. Kamag-anak ni Mang Dado. Pamangkin. Yan, magandang gabi sa inyo. So malamang nandun sila. No? Ram, sayang di tayo nakapunta kagabi. Medyo ginabi na yung si Mrs. ko. Hindi na ako nakaabot.
Baka bukas direct punta ako doon.
Okay. Sige, subukan ko din. Si Miss Ira, ito ay anak ni Mang Dado. Magandang gabi po.
Magandang gabi po.
Nakikiramay po.
Nakikiramay po.
Magandang gabi po. Nakikiramay po.
Sana po sa aming munting ginagawa ngayon kahit papaano makatulong ng kahit papaano. Magandang gabi po. Si Mr. Jason De Leon. Yan, isa din na avid na Blade person. And Mr. JC Blade, si Clam Sharp Staff.
Si Jed.
Ayan. Nagkita kayo, Ram, no? Last time.
Bumisita siya dito.
Ayan. Magandang gabi. Christian Lagman. Don Hernandez Marinay. Job Popogi ng panelista. O, syempre naman. Sana ito, kumbaga ito naka-set lang kasi na 6 lang kasi yung pwedeng pumasok dito sa free version ng StreamYard. Kaya hindi kita ma-invite pero dapat kasama kayo lahat dito actually. Yan, mga admins ng Balisong Pilipinas, Balisong Batangas, lahat ng other Blade enthusiast group kasi in one way or another, Mang Diosdado Ona has touched our lives, definitely.
Correct.
Pag sinabi mo kasi Balisong ng Batangas, hindi pwedeng hindi mo sabihin, hindi mo mabanggit si Mang Dado Icon talaga yan
Ayun, tama. Leading to that, si Mamay Ramon, ikaw ang mas exposed ka doon sa mga different valley houses. Kasi hindi naman talaga nag-iisa si Mang Diosdado Ona sa gumagawa. Isa lang siya sa pinaka tanyag, kumbaga. Pero ang dami pang Balisong houses in Batangas, in Taal. So, Mamay Ramon, ano yung experiences mo naman doon sa, kumbaga, in the community of Balisong, mga Balisongero?
Parang very closely knitted ang Barangay Balisong, parang isang malaking pamilya yan ang tanda ko niyan nung nag-start niyan, magkakasabay diyan halos si Rivera, Manong Nado Mendoza, Tatay Ona. Yan yung first 3 na natatandaan ko. Parang elementary pa lang ako, nakikita ko na yan Hanggang sa nadagdag, dumatagdag Hiron, dumagdag ang Villanueva. Pero even if they're competing businesses, closely knitted yung halos parang sa Batangas kasi parang kahit hindi magkamag-anak, para magkamag-anak ang turingan nila dyan. So it's a healthy competition. Ang Pandayan, isa ang Abest, sila pa rin ang pinaka-primary source ng mga halos lahat doon nagpapagawa. May ilan nagpapagawa sa labas. So parang pag nagkukulang yung isa, nagkakahingian. So they remain to be closely knitted. Kaya hindi pangit yung competition. May tulungan pa rin, may pakikisama. Tapos they still gather from time to time, although medyo may edad na yung Bali Houses owners natin, but they still gather from time to time. 2 months ago, I went there, I met with Hiron, Manong Leo, magkapatid na Almazan. So pag nagpatawag ka ng informal na usapan, yun, para pa rin talagang magkakamag-anak, magkakaibigan. Kaya it remains to be a surviving industry dahil na rin nung close knitting ng While there are competitions, hindi yung tipong ikasisira ng isa. So parang nagtutulungan pa rin, nagbubuhatan pa rin sila. So it remains to be a healthy Kaya ang hamon na nga lang namin sa kanila, although maganda pa rin yung samahan ninyo, pero dapat nyo na rin i-up yung level ng quality ng ginagawa natin dahil madami ng mga bata ngayon ang iba nang hinahanap. So while you can still maintain the traditional Bali songs, gawa din kayo ng mga bago para sa mga bagong balisongeros na naghahanap na ng modifications ng collection nila. So
Katulad
yun yung
ng-
overall.
Yung mga pinost mo sa page mo, yung may ukit-ukit, kumbaga, collaboration na yun no? Hindi na siya solely Batangas made.
Oo, hindi na. Dahil nagtanong-tanong kami, yung kasi mga mag-uukit ng Rosario tsaka Nasugbu, halos wala na. Ang kalimitan ngayon nag-uukit, Quezon na, tsaka dito na sa Rizal So sinasabi ko lang sa kanila na kung makakahanap lang kayo ng dati ng naglililok, na alam kong madami sa Batangas, kaya niyong i-up yung level ng ng skills or ng kapit. And it can be very enticing among the new members. Parang katulad nga nitong ito, di ba? Parang hindi na basta lang kapit, pwede pa rin siya magkameron ng magandang itsura. So, every now and then, Balisong Batangas tries to introduce to the community new ideas. Naawa naman ng Diyos, tinatap naman nila, may mga nagtatap, and it becomes a new offering, new opening for the industry. So sana tuloy-tuloy masusuga namin yung hindi madali pero kayang gawin, yung lagi sinasabi ko sa kanila.
Okay. Si Sir Randy naman being exposed sa iba't ibang kumbaga Filipino traditional blades, no? Tapos isa ang balisong sa masasabi natin na traditional blades na dito naman sa Batangas. Kumusta ang reception o kumusta ang tawag nito, ang paningin ng mga ibang blade collector na sa Batangas Blades sa page mo?
Actually, marami akong mga private messages asking saan makakabili ng magandang quality ng balisong. And since ang Filipino traditional blades naman hindi nagbebenta ng blades, we direct them to the pages na existing natin ng mga Batangas balisong makers natin. So, of course, andyan dyan si Tatay Ona, AB's, Balisong Batangas. And in fact, if I can just point out one thing na ikinakatuwa namin makita is recently yung experiments nila Sir Ramon na nangyayari na they're looking into the different profiles of na gumawa ng balisong. May nakita tayong Inalong, may nakita tayong Kampilan. Ang ganda actually from the point of view of a collector na one blade like the Batangas Balisong, pwede kang magkolekta ng mas marami. So not necessarily na magko-compete na ngayon yung mga blade makers natin, but however for a balisong enthusiast, ito ngayon ang pwede kong ubusin lahat ng profiles na available ng balisong, hindi lang porket labahang habol ko, but marami na akong pinagpipilian and I'd like to give credit where credit is due na pinagtulungan actually ng Balisong Batangas na gawin at saliksikin paano i-improve or i-up yung level ng paggawa ng balisong, which is nakakatuwa. And I think for the future, it's going to be healthy for the blade makers in the area.
Okay, Ram. Thank you, Sir Randy. So, Ram, ikaw bilang physically, geographically, malapit ka dun sa Taal, no? Dun sa lugar nila Mang Dado. Ikaw ba ay nakapag-collaborate sa kanya ng pieces or ng blades or
Hindi pa ako nakapag-collaborate as collaboration mismo kay Tatay, pero during my early days ng paggawa ng pattern welded steel or Damascus, binigyan ko siya ng isang billet. And then yung billet na yon, ginawa niyang balisong. Tapos sabi ko, Tatay, binenta niyo na ba? Sabi niya, hindi, for keeps na to. Yun, kaya tuwan-tuwa din ako kasi kumbaga, sa ibang typical na for sure, 'di ba? Kailangan natin kumita, ibebenta 'yun. Pero ang nakakatuwa kasi kay tatay, pag yung special na material binigay mo, lalo na kung yung nagbigay sa mismo yung gumawa, papahalagahan niya talaga yung bagay na 'yun eh. Yun yung talagang nakakatuwa. Pinahalagahan niya yung bagay na yun and hanggang ngayon hindi pa niya inaano. Talagang for keeps daw, sabi niya.
Ayun. Nung last time na nakapunta ako dun sa Taal nung sumabog, kailan ba pumutok? Before pandemic pa, 2 years ago.
Mga parang February yata yun.
Nung fresh na pa lang, kumbaga nag-aalboroto pa lang yung Taal, hindi pa siya nag-full blown, wala pang nag-evacuate. Yun yung last na punta ko doon at nakabili ako sa kanya ng 20 cm. Yun nga lang, ang regret ko, nabenta ko yung nabenta ko yung 20 cm na yon. Sa isa rin naman na blade collector din na taga I forgot na. Ayun. So ngayon, wala akong ONA balisong. So yun. Ang meron ako dito, ito nilatag ko dito yung mga meron akong balisong Meron ako dito na ang may pangalan lang, kumbaga ma-identify ko lang from the maker is ito, yung mula kay Cowboy. Yung mataba. Ito lang yung meron akong identifiable maker. Yan, Cowboy Balisong. Na yun pala si Cowboy Balisong ay nandito na sa Batangas City. Sa Lamao.
Sa Lamao.
Sa may Libho. Pero hindi ko pa rin siya napupuntahan. Pero in one of these days, yun, binabala ko talaga na puntahan sila. So yun. Later nga pala guys, makakasama natin si Mr. Derek Manas ng Batangas Historical Society. So, syempre mag-share siya ng kanyang mga experiences with Mang Dado. Tapos, bilang history nerds din tayo, blade culture is very related to history. So marami ako personally, marami akong gustong itanong kay Sir Derek regarding history naman. So sabi niya, maya-maya daw siya at nasa biyahe pa. So if ever kung meron kayong question dyan regarding history, blade culture, ganyan. So i-reserve natin yun later. Pero pwede rin naman ngayon. Dahil kasama natin si Mr. Randy at si Mamay Ramon na I'm sure merong mga baon na na history. Na on the spot sila.
Yun nga magandang tanong kailan ba talaga nagsimula ang balisong na sa Batangas?
Yun nga Ako personally, hindi ko alam. Parang ang tama ba Mamay Ramon, ang nasa libro na hindi ko rin naman sigurado ang veracity or yung katotohanan, merong Perfecto de Leon na pangalan na lumilitaw. Hindi ko alam ang accuracy nung history book na nabasa ko or parang sa online ko lang din nakita. Ikaw Mamay Ramon, ano ang meron ka bang doon? Sa history ng balisong?
Yung ko kasi we were taught kasi yung balisong kasi sa family namin kultura talaga parang when you turn 13 kaya mo na magpatumba ng saging sa suntok, pwede ka na maghawak ng balisong, parang ganun yun pero pag hindi mo nagagawa yun, hindi ka pa lalaki, hindi ka pa ready. So ang turo sa akin ng mamay, talagang ever since ang balisong madaming gumagawa sa Batangas, hindi lang sa Barangay Balisong, kasi halos lahat nung panahon after the war madaming artisan. So, late 50s, ang sinasabi nila, late 50s siya, ng mga piyesa nila nanggagaling pa sa mga lumang kalesa, sa mga lumang jeep. So, late 50s pa yan, nag-evolve sa madaming lugar sa Batangas. So, hindi lang sa Barangay Balisong. Pero, na-centralize dun sa Batangas dahil parang dun nagsimula yung industriya ng pagbebenta. Ang natatandaan ko, kung di ako nagkakamali, mga 70s, ang unang tindahan dyan kay Manong Leo Rivera Yun ang pinakaunang sila ang unang nag-create ng
pwesto.
Ng pwesto. Na ang artista nila noon, sobrang dami pa. Galing sa Tulo, nakalapit lang ng Barangay Balisong. Pero silang una nagtinda. Tapos, nag-wholesale sila. Ang kwento ng lolo ko, ang pag-wholesale ng Balisong, na propagate all over the Philippines dahil ang mga Batanggenyo, traders ng kulambo. Talagang yan ang pinamamaraka nila eh. Kahit saan lugar sa Pilipinas, dala nila yan. Yung busese, yung nakalabas na dulo, yun lagi nakasipit sa gitna ng balisong, not just for protection, but to cut yung mga tali. So sa kada dayo ng mga balisongero sa saan lugar ng Pilipinas, nabibili yung mga balisong na dili nila sa So noong 70s onwards, ang sinasabi nila, diyan daw nag-peak yung industrialization yung commercialization ng balisong. So nandiyan ang Nado Mendoza, nandiyan na ang Manong Dado. Sila yung first three na alam ko eh. At saka ang Almazan, mga pioneers. Ang Almazan, ang Kaboy, at saka ang kapatid niya. Sila yung nagpadami. Pero may tindahan dati sa Nasugbu, may tindahan sa Kalaka. Ang tanda-tanda ko rin ng bata pa ako, basta may fiesta, kung sa may tindang lobo, sa kaliwa niyan may tindang balisong.
Parang lagi may tumpukan yung ganun eh.
Oo, nakatumpok-tumpok lang yan eh, kung saan may fiesta ng araw. So, nung dumami na ng dumami, yung mga valley houses na nag-start talaga nito, sila ang nag-start na magbagsak sa mga pwesto-pwesto. So, ang recall ko, sa pagkakaalala ko, 70s nagsimula ang pinaka-peak ng valley houses hanggang sa dumami na ng dumami. May nawala, may nadadagdag. Pero ang true artisans talaga is not from Barangay Balisong, but mostly mga taga-Tulo. Ito yung mga artisans. The valley houses naman, they centralize the orders, they farm it out to the makers, and silang humaharap sa So 70s hanggang 80s, yan ang pinaka-peak nung pagkakakilala nung Pero when it really started sa atin sa Batangas, hindi ko masabi, pero yun nga ang sinasabi nila eh, dahil madaming gumagawa niyan na centralized na lamang sa Barangay Balisong ang pagbebenta.
Mm-hmm. Tapos ngayon, kumbaga 70s, 80s, lalo na popularize dahil sa pelikula, Dencho Padilla, mga ganyan.
Oo.
I would even recall growing up, elementary, high school pa kami. That was
90s,
80s. Late 70s, 80s. Sa mga estudyante nagbibit-bit ng balisong eh. Even in the Visayas. So nabibili mo lang sa mga, yun ang sinasabi nga ni Sir Ramon na nakatambak lang sa mga nagbibenta ng mga binangon kung sa amin pa, mga Ilonggo. Nakikita mo yan, katabi mo lang, tapos sabihin nila ito, Batangas to. So there's always that association na association ng quality dahil bibenta nila. O ito, galing Batangas to, Balisong Batangas to, yung mga binibenta. It's not just in Panay, you see it in Cebu, you see it in Leyte Samar, na mga bangketa-bangketa lang. Tapos binibenta.
Tapos may nakita kong post, saka actually friend ko from Iligan naman. Ang tawag nila sa Balisong ay Batangas. Parang gano'n na, kumbaga dahil Batanggenyo, ito ay galing Batangas. Ang kumbaga dumikit na yung pangalan ng Batangas doon sa Blade. In Cebu and in Visayas region, gano'n din sa Randy.
Ang tawag namin Batanggenyo eh.
Talaga?
Hindi Balisong, Batanggenyo. So Batanggenyo is the same associated with the Balisong. Tapos lalo na nauso sa movies na, di ba? May suklay pa nun.
Tapos nakita ko lang dun sa parang post ni Paul Factora na merong Commander Balisong na pelikula dati na nasikat din daw. Eddie Fernandez?
Oo.
Na ganyan. So, kumbaga, naging pop culture na ganyan. Okay. May question dito, Mamay Ramon, meron daw bang naikwento sa'yo si Mamay Dado na halos 150 years old na balisong?
Yung niya, yung meron naman ng Dado na sa lolo niya yan eh. Alam ni Basti Ona to. Ang nakapagkwento naman sa akin ito si Basti Ona, yung pamangkin niya. Technically, sa lolo nila yan, ipinagkatiwala sa Manong Dado. Parang siya nag-safekeep. So kung if Manong Dado is 74, if I'm not mistaken, when he passed away, kung sa lolo niya yan, pwedeng antique na talaga yan. Yun yung parang ganito yun. Wala lang tenga. Tapos meron siyang sakluban na leather So kung sa lolo niya yon 74 ang manong dado, high probability that's really an antique. Kasi it was passed on from one generation to another. Nakita ko yon, kinunan ko yun, finicture ko sa Balisong, Batangas. And I think that's the oldest known balisong among the Bali houses. Even the Bali houses knows that. So I would say yes, high probability na antique yun.
Yun nga lang wala tayong kumbaga walang established na museum dito sa Batangas. Kahit sa province o sa Taal. Ram, meron ka bang na-encounter na ikaw, I'm assuming talaga nagre-research ka naman about blades, ganyan. Pero parang wala tayong na-encounter na museum, no?
Wala.
Blades.
Parang wala nga. Alam ko pero iba't ibang blades yung sa mahina ako sa lugar pero
Batangas
yung
din?
may falls, parte siya ng Batangas pero may falls.
Pinga.
Hindi talaga magaling sa lugar. May siyang museum, mga Filipino blades, mga World War II artifacts, mga ganun.
Yung direct yung nagkausap kami ni Paul before when I was starting Balisong Batangas. Ang frustration nga lang yan, kahit sobrang lalim na ng ginawang research ni Paul, wala talagang makukuha na document na magsasabi when it really started as an industry sa Batangas, and he has done extensive research kahit dun sa grupo ng pinakaunang sinasabi natin na may ng balisong, there's not even a single document or a balisong made during that day. Kaya hindi, yun lang ang frustration ko din sa dami ko na din kinausap na tao. Wala talagang makapagsabi. So everyone is telling one thing and you can only take it by face value, parang ganon, but nobody can really say when it really started.
Yeah, tsaka dun
sabi nung iba sa yung balisong daw, parang dala ng mga sailor, mga dayuhan, na introduce sa atin nung parang Spanish era pa. Oo. Tapos pinag-improve ng Pinoy yung balisong. So mas nakilala tayo as balisong makers. Yun lang yung nakita ko dati.
Kasi may pinost si Raymond Valdez Lucero. Ayan, posible yan sinasabi nila. Na parang catalog, hindi naman catalog pero parang thesis, early 1900s. Tapos nakakatalog doon yung mga blade shapes o blade profiles na usually nakikita sa Taal, Batangas. Pero wala doon yung balisong.
Wala yung balisong. Parang blade profile lang yata yung kasama doon na yung uhastari yung tinari naman sa balisong, pero as a tool or as a weapon, hindi siya kasama doon sa list nung sa Atienza study.
Yun, tama.
Pero one thing that we could be sure would be, ang peak niya would be the 70s and the 80s.
Oo. Pero ako sure ako, Sir Rance, doon na 50s onwards, kasi yung tatay ko lumaki nang nakabalisong and I have my grandfather's balisong. Kaya alam ko, if my dad was born in the 40s, even before that, dahil sa lolo ko pa yon, na siya, parang ginagawa na sa atin yung
sumikat lang siya talaga sa ganung
70s. 70s.
Pero Mamay Ramon, yung iyong pinaka-oldest na balisong ay hindi rin naman siya parang makeshift balisong na put together lang ganun. Parang talagang manufactured siya with well-crafted ganun.
Oo, crisp profile siya dahil ang alam mo, ang ina-assume ko lang kasi even back in time naman, 'di ba, we were ruled by rahas and So ang sa pananaw ko, kahit sa pinagtanong-tanong ko sa mga nakatatanda, parang ang tatlong blade na parang pinaka matatandang blade ng Batangas would be yung Kris, yung Labaha, na sabi nila Taal talaga nagsimula ang Labaha, at saka yung Tinari. Yun ang tatlong pinakamatatandang blade ng Dahil yun ang may historical value dahil minana lang natin, and at that time, wala naman tinaring maigsing nakikita, pero may tinaring profile, wala na lang luma. So makikita natin luma, Kris at Labaha. I'm still searching for the oldest tinari profile. Wala talaga makita. But I have a very old Kris, yung sa grandfather ko, at saka yung Labaha.
May hawak ka dyan, Mamay, nung tinari na sinasabi mo?
At itong tinari, ganito siya. Teka, buka ko na.
Kasi sa akin naman, ang oldest na hawak ko ngayon is this one. Pero ano siya,
Flip point.
Gaganda naman ang balisong nyo. Sa akin ito lang, oh.
liit naman yan.
Ako yung Batanggan nyo. Kami ni Pops Ramon yung Batanggan nyo, pero sa akin yung pinakamaliit. Bigay sa akin ni Adrian. Nung ano, pumunta sila dito.
Wala naman daw sa size yun, Paps. Nasa performance. Basta makakataga ay magagamit.
Matalas
ng-
naman.
Matalas naman. Yun ang important.
Ito yung Tinari profile.
Ayan. Oo nga, tama.
Okay.
Tinari ito, tapos usa yung scales niya. Ito naman yung oldest sa collection ko. Ito yung sa grandfather ko. Kung makikita nyo, iba pa yung itsura ng agila nung araw.
Pino.
Tapos bilog na bilog pa yung shape niya dito, tapos tama pa yung forma dito. Tapos ang ginagamit ito kasi matandang nara na eh. Tapos may baon, tapos 36 cm to bale. So ito yung niya, pinaka blade profile niya. Yan, kita niyo ba? So crisp pa siya. 36 inches. Ito yung
ni Kaboy, nung kausap ko yung anak ni Kaboy, yun daw ay hindi na masyadong ginagawa yung kapit na ganyan, yung naka-embed
Oo.
yung brass sa kahoy.
Oo. Tapos tsaka noon, talagang ditubo pa kung mapapansin niyo yung talagang tubo pa yung ginagamit. Unlike ngayon na parang sheet na lang ng So, tubong pinipit-pit pa lang tong So, ito yung tanda ko na matatanda. O hastari, Chris, tsaka labaha. Sabi ni Manong Dado sa akin nung nagkakwentuhan kami, ang labaha daw talaga ay Batangas na profile, yung labaha blade. Oo. Dahil sinasabi nila, kinalakihan na nila na labaha dahil yung tanda ko rin yun pang-ahit. Tapos nail cutter ng lola ko, ganun din ang ginagamit nila eh. So parang sa Batangas nag-originate. Ang magandang tanong lang sa akin ng isang kilalang balisong collector na si Dandy Alfonso sa naka-base sa US. Sabi niya kung matandang blade na talaga ang labaha, bakit wala silang makita among the antique collections kahit sa eBay? Kaya malaking question mark din kung talaga bang kasama sa matatandang blade yung labaha. Pero kung ang katulad ng father ko, katulad ng Manong Dado, ay nagsasabing kinalakihan na nila yon, high probability na Batangas profile talaga siya.
Yeah,
Ay, Pops Ramon, may tanong pala ako. Kaya mo ba i-confirm kung 1970s nga tong model ng balisong na to? Yan.
Lakihan ko si Ram.
Ayan siya. Kasi ito, galing pa sa lolo ko, sa tatay ng mother ko.
Ditubo.
Ang
Pwede.
Ganda ng blade.
Yung lang niya, yung mga 70s na 70s na blade, itong ganito Ram, mabibilog pa dapat to eh.
Yan. Na-restore ko na to.
Yung
Na-restore ko na siya.
Ayun. Pero kung dati, bilog pa yung dulo niyan dito, pwede. Kasi yung labaha, ito yung pinakaayaw kong profile nung araw dahil ang pangit tingnan baldog, yung bilog na bilog yung dulo.
Sobrang bilog.
Oo, parang hindi nakakatakot.
Pero sa akin, yung bago ko siya i-restore, naka-hollow grind na siya. Pero ito, medyo bilog to.
Ayun,
itong
pwede.
padulo. Tapos, naka-drop point yung dulo. Hindi ko na ginalaw itong tas, ito lang yung medyo inano ko eh.
Oo, pwede. Tapos detubo siya Ram, detubo pa siya yung makapal pa yung housing dito.
Oo, ayan.
Ayan, detubo yan. Oo, pwede. 80s nagbago yung ganito eh. Dahil nga hindi naging, kahit ako, hindi ako bumibili ng ganito noon eh. Dahil pangit nga para sa akin, dahil ang taba ng dulo. 80s na bago yan, medyo pinaano nila dito, iba na nila yung cut nila dito. Kaya tumulis na yung Pero nung
yung
araw,
balito.
bilog yung 70s.
Okay. Sige. Thank you. Basa muna tayo ng mga nagko-comment. Meron dito si Entong Ona, siguro ito pamangkin ni Mang Dado. Hindi naman po sa pambabastos, yun pong pinantuli sa akin. Yun, 100 years.
Ito yun. Ito yun.
Balisong ng Kuya Dado. Matagal din po nasa tatay ko yun nung bata pa ako bago napunta kay Kuya Dado nang namatay siya. Pinantuli sa kanya ay balisong. Nice one. Batanggenyo. Yeah.
Matibay.
Matibay. Okay, comment ni Philippine Bladed Weapon Enthusiast. So, yan. Meron akong balisong extra large size Eagle. Tapos si Job, correct, may post-war balisong sa eBay. Same profile nung pinakita ni Al. Ito. Yan. Ito ay, nabili ko naman to 99 siguro, 2000 na. Nung pumasok ako nung college. Pero sa palengke lang to, hindi, kumbaga sa Batangas lang to, lumang palengke. Pero hindi pa ako nakakapunta sa mga bally houses noon. So, yun. Sabi ni Mr. Efren ay parang bread knife daw. Yung ang tinutukoy niya siguro dito ay kay Mama
Labahan.
yung labahan na parang
Oo.
upswept na belly.
Oo.
Yung
Oo.
big tingala. May question dito. Anong pinagkaiba ng dibuyod at tari blade? Oo nga, no?
Ang dibuyod po ay ang tari po ay medyo
Patingala.
patingala po ito. Ang dibuyod po parang Bowie. Parang Bowie ang profile ng dibuyod. May guhit po dito sa gitna. Ang tari halos wala. Dito lamang yung sa spine niya, dire-diretso, tapos pataas yung dulo. Ang dibuyod tuwid to. Yan po ang pinag-iba niyan.
Hindi. Ito,
Yan, may buyod. Sabi ko kasi direct nung sabi ng lolo ko, ang dibuho ang tawag daw dyan nung araw eh. Dibuho dahil may line separator daw dun sa gitna ng blade. May buho o may guhit.
Parang
Sa katagalan, naging buyod na.
Parang kanal ng bearing, gano'n?
Hindi direct. Kuha ko na isa.
Watching from Australia si Mr. Oliver Robles. Magandang gabi sa'yo.
Si Direk Oliver.
Ito kasi yung parang dito nagsimula yung pagkaka-grind. Ito may buho, may guhit.
Ridge line.
Oo, diguhit. Parang may guhit. Akala ng iba, itong term na to ang buyod. Ang paliwanag lang sa akin, I can be wrong, paliwanag lang ng nakatatanda sa amin. Dibuho ang tawag daw dito dahil may buho, may guhit, may separation. Ang tari, doon sa itaas lang yung niya, wala. Plain to, parang labaha, pero yung sa spine na lang dito na lang siya nagkakamero ng dito.
Mas mataas yung yung grind line.
Oo, yung pagkaka-grind.
Okay, may tanong dito, magkano daw paggawa ng balisong na personalized. So yan, ito ang makakasagot nito ay sila Onas Batangas Blade. So I'm assuming kahit kumbaga ipagpapatuloy naman ng family. Kumbaga ako personal lang naman 'yon. Hindi ko pa natatanong yung family actually, pero I'm assuming. So doon sa magtatanong ng personalized balisong, we'll direct you na lang to the Onas Batangas Blades page. So sila makakasagot nun. So ayan, at this point, magandang gabi. Kasama po natin ay si Direk Paul. Paul Factora, magandang gabi dito sa Pilipinas. Ikaw ay magandang umaga dyan.
Magandang umaga, sir.
Magandang umaga po.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Magandang umaga.
Okay. So, we're talking in Filipino. Is that okay or?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
I understand, but I'm a little limited, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, for everyone watching, guys, Direk Paul Factora is the one who is producing and directing The Way of the Balisong movie. He's been doing it for how many years already? This is a continuing project, right?
Yes. It originally started about, I met Mang Dado at about 2012. And then I've been taking trips back to the Philippines to kind of document his everyday activities, you know. Since
So yun, the movie, which came first? Your relationship with Mang Dado, or the movie was the bridge for you to connect with Mang Dado? Can you tell us your relationship with Mang Dado?
yes, it all started with Mang Dado. He was the inspiration for the movie. Yeah, back in I was working as as an editor, and I was doing a lot of documentary projects, and I knew I wanted to do one that was my own. I couldn't find a subject. I went to the Philippines, and it was on my last week that I decided to go by Balisongs, and I had previously been to Barangay Balisong in the 90s, and there was a lot more shops than there were when I went in 2012, and I was wondering what was going on, why it was going away. I met Mang Dado, and we spoke for almost 2-3 hours, and I was like, wow, you know, he just had such a a way about him. He was so easy to talk to, but his story was very fascinating to me. You know, on my ride back to Manila from Batangas, I knew it. I said, I gotta document the story of Mang Dado and the Balisong. So yeah, it all started from Mang Dado.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and it opened up this whole world. It was supposed to be just a short film, but every trip I took back, the story just kept growing and growing and growing, and it led me to even document what was going on in the States. You know, what happened back in the 80s, how it got so popular in the States in the 80s, and at the same time there was the whole Balisong flipper community that was exploding, and I thought it was just interesting how it was at that time in 2012. It really was, the Balisong industry was struggling in Taal, and but it was exploding in the States, and I thought that was really, really interesting. And so Mang Dado was always fighting to keep the culture alive, and I believe he had a lot to do with it gaining its popularity back in the Philippines, and really bringing a strength of popularity back to the Philippine handmade Balisong, the original Balisong in Taal, and the whole craft. And I was blessed to kind of document that as it was all happening back in those years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, I think your signal is getting kinda
Oh, I'm sorry.
choppy,
Hello?
or is it just on my end?
Hello.
Hello?
Is
Okay, we
you
can
hear me?
hear you clear, but your video froze. Anyway, my next question is, how can you do you see Mang Ona's influence there in the US? Does he how do you say this? How did he influence the Balisong importation in the US? Or I don't
I
know. I don't know how to
I
phrase
think
it.
he had a very, very big influence, a very big impact. So I think
Impact.
I go to a lot of the Blade shows, the Blade conventions. I'm very in touch with the Filipino martial arts community here, and just the regular knife collecting community, the Blade community, and I started to see a lot of popularity with his blades. I'll tell you a story which I think is very, very kind of cool. I'm sure everyone who's visited Mang Ona has seen the giant Balisong that was made by Totoy Cuento in his backyard, and it's become such a big, iconic, thing. Everyone who visits Mangdado, gets to see that. And the story behind that is, I think they had made it for a festival back in sometime in the late 90s. When I interviewed Totoy Cuento, and he wanted to do something good for the town, and he just made that. Totoy Cuento was a really good friend of Mangdado. He and Mangdado, came into the business together. I think he's the uncle to the Bautista brothers in Bagong Pook. He made that, but then it was kind of stored away for many, many years. And Teddy Agojo's son Ian, when I was documenting Mangdado, he kept telling me, Sir Paul, let's see if we could get that Big Bali song. And so I tracked down Totoy Cuento. No, actually Mangdado was already in touch with them. But we convinced him I wanted to film it. It was at that time that I believe the El Pasubat Festival was happening in Barangay in Taal. It's their yearly festival. And when I was there, they were telling me, there's not lately. There hasn't been much attention from the there wasn't much attention for the Bali song that was being celebrated as much as they wanted. And, Mangdado wasn't very happy about that. Long story short, they built the frame, and during the parade, all the Mangdado and some of the Bali song makers, they stopped the parade and they got that Big Bali song, and it took us so long.
Yeah.
Everything, and everyone's wondering what's going on, but they stopped the parade. They put the Big Bali song on, they tied it down, and everyone was so happy. They were celebrating. Like, yes, the Bali song is still here. And it was such a strong statement by Mangdado and the community. And I videotaped everything, everyone. This was when, social media was really just kicking in, and and I think it went, everything went viral, of that Big Bali song going on this parade. I put it on all my social media feeds, and the next week I got a call from the History Channel, or I'm sorry, a Facebook message from the History Channel asking about that. And so I told him it was, Mangdado. And then one of the friends got a call from CNN asking about that Big Bali song. And then the story came out that, these men were fighting to preserve the Bali song. I think you might have seen that. And I think Discovery and a lot of local channels started doing coverage on that too. And I think I started noticing it from there that, the popularity really, really started exploding. And Mangdado was already very ahead of the game as far as selling online, I believe. And when I was going to Blade shows, and they're like, hey, there's the Filipino guy who knows about the Filipino Bali songs. And they would always ask about Ona, they would always ask about Ona blades. And I would always recommend Ona blades first. So yes, the answer is he did have a very big impact and influence. And he sold a lot out here. He sold a lot.
By the way, you mentioned, in private, no? You mentioned to me Ray Liesa, the book author, the one that made the book. And then I contacted him. Actually, he's an old friend, college friend from way back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then we were talking a while ago. We were thinking, did Mang Ona have a brand stamp on his older knives. When you did the first shoot with Mang Dado, did you see the knives that had Ona blades, or was it a recent addition?
It was.
Parang
He
I
did it
think it was
on.
a recent
He
addition.
did it on a few small ones, and he was very encouraged by myself, of course, after, but I believe it was my friend Ashton Bonifacio who said, Mang Dado, you have to brand your he was doing it already, but not on every piece.
Mhm.
He would have he would do like maybe a few, 4 or 5 in a batch, but then the rest of the batch would have none. And so he was encouraged, to really start branding all his latches. And this was about 2013 is when he really recognized that, people wanted that. People wanted his signature on the latches and his blades. And he was doing it prior to myself meeting him,
Mhm.
but
He made
he
it
was
standard
encouraged.
later on.
Yeah, he was encouraged, and I think by 2013, 2014, he was trying to do every single one. from what I remember, that's what I believe.
Yeah, which practice is not yet as common before. Until now, no, Mamay Ramon, yung the other blade houses did not have that stamp of their parang branding on their blades.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Technically, only the people who made the knives knows who were the ones who made it. Because
Mhm.
before they leave markings, say for example on the latch, if there are 2 strikes, this made by Manong Teddy, 3 strikes. So nobody knows who really made it. But it was only in the latter part of 2000 when they started to put distinguishable markings on from every blade houses. But even up to now, you would see ordinary balisongs that are being sold that doesn't have the branding from any of the bali houses.
yes, yeah. That's what we saw also. And I always wondered about that. Yeah, they put the stones and the markings.
The stripes.
But it was really Ona when we saw that from Ona, we were like, Mang Dado, you got to do every single one. And I was buying a lot from him at that time, and every one that I bought, I requested, make sure to put the Ona,
Stamp.
make sure to stamp the Ona. Yeah, I haven't seen it from any other blade maker.
But I was browsing because you posted on your Facebook page the Vimeo account, your Vimeo account of The Way of the Balisong, and then I saw the videos of preview, the episode 1 preview of Way of the Balisong. Is it okay to stream it now,
Sure,
and then we can talk
sure.
about it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's interesting to me because it's the first time that I saw that part of it, kumbaga the sourcing of the materials.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Should I try to play it right now?
No, I'm
You got
gonna.
it.
So for everyone, this is the sourcing of the material, episode 1 preview of Way of the Balisong.
Making balisong is a tedious job. A lot of people around the world, they know that I'm selling balisong. He is from Russia, Karwowski. He likes this, our new design. The carbo horn and the blade of this is from carbon steel. Napakadaming nakakabit sa kabuuan ng balisong. The handle of this balisong is from a horse bone. And this insert is from this carbo horn or water buffer. Isa-isa mo yung hahanapin, isa-isa mo yung ipiprepare para makabuo ko ng balisong. To buy a horn, the carabao, you have 8 hours travel to the slaughterhouse. We have to ride a bus, Then we have to ride on a tricycle and also the evening. Batangas province is well known for raising horse, carabao, and cow. Yung makita mo yung kanyang stock buto, ito yung buto ng kabayo. Ito kayang-kaya naman yung 2 balisong. Meron ba tayong kasama ng kalabaw? We need more. We are looking for the dry one, no more bone marrow inside, so that no more smells. Ibig sabihin, disinfectant. So, ngayon ay tayo ay papunta doon sa tambakan ng muli sa junkyard na kung saan tayo titingin na muli para gamitin natin sa salim ng balisong. Kuya, may muli kayo? Wala. Ay, siya. Salamat. Kakukuha lang. Okay. Meron po kayong mulye? Talagang taghirap sa mulye. Sana ay hindi magtagal itong kawalan ng mulye na mabibili. Dahil malaking problema sa isang magbabalisong. Mawawalan tayo ng hanap buhay, mawawalan tayo ng pagkita at malaking kawalan para sa pamilya at sa industriya.
Backlog in there. Yeah, it was always a fun adventure with Mang Dado. It was always fun. Really, I was really lucky. I was really lucky that I was there at the right time. But many of our conversations was about sourcing materials and how one day it would be hard to get a bone, or there was a shortage on Moulier. Was always a big race, because with the junkyards, and they have like several spots, but the other blade makers in Barangay Balisong, they're also sourcing from the same spots too. So sometimes someone will get more lucky than the other and get a lot of Moulier, and so someone would get more of it, but sometimes they would trade amongst themselves also. But it was an adventure, and it was kind of a race, also a race for for materials.
Okay. I'm sorry I didn't get to introduce you, Paul, to the other group of the other members of the group.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We have Ram. Ram Maklimot is a bladesmith in Batangas, in Bawan,
absolutely.
Batangas, and Randy Salazar, of course, is the
Yes.
admin of Filipino Traditional Blades.
Yes.
And then Mamay Ramon Bathan is admin of Balisong, Batangas.
Yes. Very good.
So,
Very good. Yeah, I know all you guys. You guys are all great. Thank you, and thank you, Alan, for having me. It's good to finally see faces to the names, other than the Facebook picture.
So yun. So I was mentioning a while ago, but my mic was muted pala. So first, this was the first time that I saw actually the process of sourcing the materials. From the bones to the horns to the blade material itself. Ram, you are a bladesmith, and then I'm assuming that you also source your materials like this before,
Yes, correct.
before online. No,
Mhm.
kasi physically you have to go to these shops and source the materials. How hard is it?
Kinda back. Medyo masakit sa likod. Kasi pag wala yung material na hinahanap on specific junk shop, kailangan mong lumipat sa kabila para lang makita yung mga necessary raw materials na gagamitin mo for a specific project.
Like yung material na the one that Mang Dado was looking for was sungay ng kalabaw, horn.
Yan, sungay ng
Carabao
kalabaw,
horn.
mga buto. So,
Before online, Ram, you were also sourcing these materials in Batangas. Can you how hard is it to find? Kasi Mang Dado has already, I'm assuming, established these connections.
yes, si Tatay Ona, established na siya. So, alam na niya yung mga pupuntahan niya. Kaya ako, each and every time nakakain ako ng bulalo, I took the opportunity to hunt the bones. Katulad ng bulalo buwi, di ba? Ayun. Doon, mga ganon, talagang inuuwi ko.
Pero like, umaga, you were sourcing in different places. Bulalo, malamang Tagaytay yung pinuntahan mo.
Tagaytay.
And then may horns din ba doon? Can you find horns there?
Yeah, sa Tagaytay, yung binibilhan ko dati is parang boundary yata ng Tagaytay and Nasugbu. Doon ako nakakita ng slaughterhouse na nagsusupply ng buffalo horns. Parang 2011, 2012, doon kami lagi pumupunta.
And then Direct Paul, when you were shooting this segment with Mang Dado, was this done in one day or in several days? The sourcing of the materials?
Several days. And one, I believe the horses and the Carabao were different years. I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I just kind of edited
Yeah.
together. But yeah, sometimes it would take one whole day just for going bone hunting. But the Carabao and I think the leaf spring was the same day. There were other days where we were looking for, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the Tagalog name, but the coconut that they make the fire for the pandayan, the coconut husk.
Cooling.
Yeah. There was one time where there was a big shortage of that in all of Taal, and it took almost not a week, but maybe 3 or 4 days where there was no work really being done because it was so short. There was such a shortage of that, and that was really worried. Yeah, and when I was getting tubo Bali songs from him, there was a shortage of that, and we had to go into Divisoria for tubo, and that was cool. Every once in a while, Mang Dado would have to go to Manila to get materials. Also. Yeah, and he also did other things. He also sold. I think he brought like even barongs and
to make the chip.
Yeah,
to make the chip worth it.
Yeah.
So we had to bring something there and then bring something back.
Yes, yeah, to make it worth it. Yeah, that was some of my favorite parts of hanging out with Mang Dado.
In your you spent days, I mean whole days with him. Did you ever see Mang Dado like a bit pissed off or something? Parang what was his kasi Mang Dado is always smiling in his estante, in his shop, in his he's always welcoming. Pero every one of us has this parang trigger. What does he show? How does he show his that he's pissed off or something? Or talagang he was all throughout like the gentleman that he is?
I'd say 98% of the time he was always Mang Dado as we know him, just very positive attitude, lots of joking, a lot of joking. Um, and, you know, even when things were
I could
difficult,
imagine he was having a hard time finding this, finding that, but in the video, he was always he's okay.
yeah, he was okay. He would get worried. Um, I only saw him upset once with I don't know if any of you knew who Ian Agoho was. Ian was the son of Teddy, who he passed away back in 2017, 2018, I believe. And I'm not sure what the argument was about, but they've known each other for so long. They had a really interesting, you know, father-son
Dynamic.
relationship, and I think they were. It was a discussion about design, and that was the only time I ever saw Mang Dado upset. Is I don't know, maybe Ian was critiquing a design or something, but they've known each other so close, you know, they're so close that that maybe that's why they had an argument. Other than that, 99% of the time, Mang Dado was always the gentleman he was. For me.
I have a question, Paul.
Yes.
What would be the most coveted Ona Balisong in the States, and length, profile and length?
Ooh, the 29 is the most popular. Everyone wants the 29.
Any particular profile which is really popular among the guys in the US?
No, they the majority are unfamiliar with all the different blade styles. Of course, you know, the Tare is probably the most bought because it's the most produced. There was an era where there was a time though where everyone just wanted Compilans, and like Mang Dado made like a batch of Compilans in I think 2018, and oh my gosh, everyone was asking me about Compilans after that. But I think the fundamental basic Tare is what I've seen mostly.
And the 29 length.
Yeah, 29, and then 29, and then I think the Chris is the second one. Everyone loves the Chris.
Reason I ask is I'm sure there might be a mad rush to get on the pieces.
Oh my gosh, yeah, all the friends of mine who you know, and I'm too nice of a guy. I gifted so many Ona pieces. I mean, which is a good thing. But you know, I'm like, wow, I don't have as much as I would like to anymore. And there's a lot of people in the comments. They're expressing how, like, you know, they're so blessed to have Ona pieces. And then other people have messaged me, you know, if I was going to part with any, and I don't think I'm going to part with the few pieces that I still have. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But we'll all cherish the ones that we have, for sure.
So, Paul, what is the status of the Balisong movie now?
Yeah, my gosh, Alan, it's interesting. We kind of slowed down. I was ready to fully. I was just from 2012 to 2019. I was just accumulating footage from everywhere. But it was that then in 2019 when I decided that it's time to start editing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the way of the Balisong project is I got so much footage that it's actually a docu-series instead of just one documentary. The idea is that there would be the Philippines history episode, which was number 1. And then episode 2 was how it became so popular in the 70s and 80s in the States with the rise of the Benchmade and Les Diaz's work. That's episode 2. And then episode 3 was the Balisong flipping community. I was there in the Philippines in 2019, and sorry, this is a long story, but that's when I was in town when the Taal volcano erupted.
Really?
Yeah, and so I was like, oh my gosh, and so we had to document all that and try and get footage of the evacuation, and oh yeah, this is episode 2. With Les Diaz. But because of that, and I had to, and I knew the quarantine was about to happen. I got the story of how Barangay Balisong survived. No one knew that there was about 1 or 2 days where no one knew if Barangay Balisong was under ash. So we were all so worried. I finally got in touch with Mang Dado, Mang Teddy, the Bautistas, Wilson also, and they were all safe. So,
And this was months before the pandemic.
Yeah, just a couple of months, and so I was set to, really work on Mang Dado's episode first. But when I started seeing the pandemic happening, and I thought, wow, I should probably go home just to see, And back then you thought, oh, I think everyone will quarantine for a few weeks or a month and it'll be back to normal.
Yeah.
I went back home and I've been here. I haven't returned to Philippines since. And I wanted to get one more interview with Mang Dado.
Mhm.
And, I ran out of time with that. But what I did do with the help of the Diaz's family was finish episode 2. So this episode, the Les Diaz's Jeff Amada, Dan Inosanto story, is complete. And so that's going to release first. And I'm kind of working with a few other parties to start work on episode 1. I hope episode 1 can be released early next year, 2023. It's like I'm so focused on trying to get Mang Dado's story out now. I was blessed to get his life and show what impact he had on the industry.
Mhm.
And then my producer Chen Collado she should actually be here also in this discussion. She was able to document when he received his lifetime award in Batangas
That is
City.
just recent.
Yeah, it's just recent, and it's such a perfect fitting tribute to his life. And so guys, I gotta figure it out. I gotta raise funds again, and I gotta get back to the Philippines, and oh my gosh, I really want to show the world Mang Dado's story. 2023, hopefully before spring, before summer. But documentaries are crazy. Filmmaking is crazy. You try so hard and then you get a lot done and all of a sudden it stops and then you have to raise funds again. So I'm going to be beginning that process again. I just finished episode 2. So, wow. So I really would have loved to have seen Mang Dado one last time. But, it's still, I feel very, very blessed that I was able to have the time with him and film what I was able to film with him. And then episode 3, the flipper one, I don't know. I don't know when that's gonna happen.
Flipping community in the US.
Yes, very interesting. They all know who Mang Dado is too. If they were to get, they usually get, it's Blade Runners is very popular, Squid Industries is very popular, Jerry Hong, many others. But when they do venture off to get one Batangas handmade balisong. They and I'll usually get a message from them to how to get in touch with Ona. So many of those flipper collectors will have an Ona also.
So it's a collectible. Pero
Absolutely.
are they competition? Competition type Onas?
Not so much. It's weird. It's weird with the flipping community because, and I hope I don't insult anyone by saying this, but it's the less function of it being an actual knife, to cut,
right.
to do things, to blade. If you have to use it for food or shaving, it's takes away from its ability to flip a lot. I mean, there's some really very well made flipping knives, but like with an Ona 29, if I had to cut wood or something, I'd use an Ona instead of a flipping knife. It's more concerned with the balance and how the bearings and the action, how certain materials kind of bounce off, and the weight is really big. So when they pursue that, it takes away from it being an actual functional utility use. From what I see, I mean, BRS makes some really really good knives that you could use to cut, but no, that the Filipino handmade knife is in a class on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a guy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He goes by Pinoy Knife on the internet. His name's Matt Cook. He's one of the few guys. And the book ties. The book ties make balisongs that are very very friendly for flipping.
Pabu.
Yeah, Pabu. Yeah, Mang Party and Ramel. But it's Matt Cook was he learned the traditional Filipino style from Mang Party, and the connection back to the Philippines from the balisong flipping community is that Mang Party spent a lot of his life in Oregon, and he got very very popular back in the 80s, 90s. His works were very popular amongst balisong enthusiasts, and his influence was to Matt Cook, and Matt Cook was making in the traditional Filipino style. When the rise of the balisong flipping community, they were looking for someone that would be open to making a pure flipping knife, balisong, because after Benchmade discontinued the 42, I believe there was a shortage. There was other ones, but it wasn't accomplishing what the 42 did or take the flipping art to the next level. It was Matt Cook. It was Matt Cook who came up with the design in working with Lawrence and Ed from Blade Runner Systems. He made the Alpha Beast, and so there is a Filipino lineage, I believe, through there. It's from Mang Party, through Matt Cook to the Alpha Beast, and that Alpha Beast knife is what? Oh my gosh! The explosion of balisong flipping after that knife was made was unbelievable. It happened so fast, like within a year, that boom, this is a whole other thing of balisong that's taking off throughout the world.
You mentioned Pabu, Party
Yes.
Bugtay. He's currently in the Philippines, and Randy is one of the, can you say, protege or student of his?
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
It's a friend. This is actually a Benchmade and a Pabu.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's a beauty.
Benchmade Pabo, it's a prototype of the production line or just one of
I think
these?
Les gave him this one, and he just changed the blade. So this
Mm.
is a Benchmade and a Pabu. The blade is Pabu. This one is Pabu.
Wow. Wow. That's a fantastic piece. Wow. Yeah. Mang Party and Les, they were very. They both lived. They were both there in Oregon, and so their pictures together. They spent time together. They know each other. You know, from the net. That whole area, Northern Oregon area. There's a lot of balisong collectors up there. A lot. I don't know. I think not just because of Benchmade, but there's just a big knife community. And there's a guy that has probably one of the most insane balisong collections that I've seen. His name is Chuck Galnick, and he really helped Mang Party get Mang Party's name and notoriety out there. He here's an interesting story about that guy, Chuck. I think he was very early in the internet days. I think he worked for Bill Gates or something. And so when the first websites that ever came out, one of the first websites that came out was a website called the Balisong Collector. I swear it's like if you look up the number 8 website ever, in the world or the US, it's, I believe, from what I understand, it's Chuck Galnick's website, the Balisong Collector. And many of his he has a very nice historical collection, but he promoted Mang Party and Romel's work so much that and when Mang Party left, everyone was like, "What happened? We can't get Pabus anymore."
He's back in Liloan.
I'm glad to hear he's still making them in Liloan. I got to spend time with Mang Party also. He cooked me.
Kaya
Yeah, but the reality actually is our old bladesmiths are actually getting old. Party's way beyond his senior years. So is Mang Dado is 72. He just turned 72, if I'm not mistaken, last November 8th. So our blade makers are getting old.
Yeah, it's a dying art. But I am happy to see that now there's more balisong production coming out of Batangas than maybe all time. Just on the internet, so many different makers now. There's some younger generation, I believe, that's making it, and the established one. How old is Cowboy? Cowboy, he's got to be in his 80s also.
Yeah, Cowboy Balisong. Cowboy is around 80, I think.
80.
More or less.
Yeah.
But he's still active in making himself. He's at home in Batangas City, and he's a one-man shop. I mean, he gets the blades made by a panday, and then he assembles it at home by himself until the finished product. I've yet to go to his place to interview him, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting story because talagang old-timer. I mean, from way back.
Yeah, my gosh. He's Mang Dado knew of him. I never got to visit him, but a long time ago when I was asking Mang Dado for the pen balisong, he said, "Oh, there's someone in Batangas City that we could ask about that." I never followed up, but eventually I came to know that it was Cowboy, and I would love to visit him also and talk to him. My Ramon, you have some of his pieces, I believe.
Yeah. I got a few from him. In fact, we were able to resurface the the Penn Valley. Remember in our last discussion, we were thinking, how can we resurface this? And through the son and nephew, we're able to influence Cowboy to resurface again the Penn Valley. So that's what he's trying to do now. More focus on the Penn Valley because the hens are getting older. So it's easier to assemble the smaller balisongs the Penn Valley wants.
Yes, that's great. That's great. That is very in demand out here in the state. Everywhere, I think everywhere. Everyone knows that Bali song. I think the first Bali song when my dad brought them back from the Philippines was that he brought back a whole box full of Penn Bali songs.
Parker.
And I wish I would. I don't know where it is. I'm so sad. I wish I would have kept those.
Okay.
Wow. But
Paul,
other than Cowboy, that's pretty much it, diba? It's making those. The Penn Bali song. Other than Cowboy, is anyone else?
No more. It's only Cowboy who's doing that.
Wow.
and I was talking to Cowboy's daughter. They're only doing it per order basis. They're not doing it anymore mass production.
Correct.
Order and then they will make it. Kasi Cowboy is, ano na siya, he's senior years na, so he's just making the things that sure sell. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah. Guys, we have another person here, Ray Liesa. We have Ray Liesa, the author, the book Ben Nueve. And from what year ito, Paul?
Gandang gabi.
Magandang gabi, Ray. Batangan.
Hello.
So, Ray, we were talking about our experiences with Mang Dado, Diyos Dado on, and of course, Balisong culture, blade culture in Batangas in general. Can you, first of all, ano yung relationship mo kay Mang Dado?
Kasi it all started nung parang postgraduate studies ko yan. I was taking up photojourn before. So, parang final project ko, kailangan ko nang gumawa ng mas matagal na photo story project. And then, I got in touch with Sir Dindo Montenegro. I think through Wow Batangas pa nun. And then after noon, he introduced me to Mang Dado. And then I spent a couple of weeks going back and forth from, nasa Quezon City ako noon naka-base. Tapos, so, minsan, during weekends, I go there. Kwentuhan kami ng Mang Dado. Sinamahan pa niya ako dati sa saan nga po yung Mang Ramon? Barangay Tulo ba yun? Kaso, parang noong panahon yun, walang nagpapanday. So, wala akong nakuha ng litrato. And then, ang nakuhanan ko lang ng sina Bautista Brothers ba? Tama ba? They were making the balisong din. Doon ako na parang nag-immerse lang. I have a lot of photos pa no na hindi ko na, kasi I was limited only to create a photo story consisting of not more than 20 photos or images. So, pero marami rin tulad ni Sir Paul, madami yung mga footage sa kanyang film. Marami rin ako noon na mga pictures na hindi ko rin na publish or na labas. So my idea then was to continue the project then. So yeah, life got in the way. So I wasn't able to go back and yun yung mga regrets pa rin. But we had although very short, I was like Sir Paul, I was also blessed to get to know Mang Dado. And I have siguro two balisongs from him that which I bought and a few that which I gave away sa mga advisors or fellow photos.
Yung book na 29, was it, paano siya na-avail before? Or personal print
No,
mo
it's
siya.
ano lang
Then,
yan. Personal print lang yan. Very few copies lang. My idea then was to continue nga and to make it, parang requirement lang siya ba? Requirement lang yan eh. Then I just had to print, I think, less than 15, mga 15 copies lang. Self-print lang. Nangangalas na nga yung iba eh.
but Paul,
Kasi-
how did you get hold of a copy? Did you
we
know
met.
Ray?
We met sa BGC ba yan, Direct Paul?
Yeah, in Eastwood,
2019? 2018?
2018, end of 2018,
Yeah.
going into 2019.
Actually, Sir Paul got in touch with me when he saw the book sa shop ni Mang Dado. Then we started, not really collaborating, but conversing through Messenger. Kukwento siya, kwento rin ako. And then we finally met in 2018. That was way we started communicating, I think, 2013 or 2012.
Yeah,
And we're sharing stories, no? And
yeah.
then, yeah.
Ray, your book was a very, very big inspiration and influence. When I saw his, Ray's photography is amazing. He really, oh, it's hard to see, but he really captured a spirit of what Mang Dado was doing there, and just and the Bali songs. It's really, oh my gosh, it really inspired me. And when Mang Dado showed this to me back then, that's when I realized that the Bali song culture is so rich. It has a rich tapestry and a look that's unlike anything in the world, you know. And Ray really just captured, you know, just small things, just that, you know, is like, wow, you know, I've never seen, you know, anything like that, and it was just such a good quality. And Ray, you made a short documentary also, which was very, very beautiful. And
Very, very short. It's more than multimedia photo story. More of a photo story type, not film type like yours.
yeah, no. But still, I think when I first contacted you, I think, you know, I might have had more money. I was seeing, you know, how, if we could do a reprint, you know, and I've still had it in mind. I want to, you know, maybe do a reprint, because I think it would be nice to have another batch of your book.
Do you still have the raw materials for that book? We can reprint it.
Yeah, I think I actually plan to print, because this is only an 8x8, I think, or 10x10 size. So I was thinking of putting more materials into it. Kasi noon, when I
Update.
started doing the story, one of the concerns ni Mang Dado was because of yun pa rin, same na rin yung concern niya yun. Children, that was way back 2012, 2011, 2012. Children were more obsessed with computer games and phones in 2012, hindi pa masyadong ano yan. Like Sir Paul said, the internet was still start pa lang. And then yung mga gaming games. So yung tradition ba, yung culture, yung tradition of the balisong making doon mismo sa barangay Balisong, parang nawawala na. That was way back in 2012. So what more now? So interesting din siguro yung continue yung photo story, kasi may part na nag-pick ulit yung interest sa Blade, sa Balisong. And then the community online grew a lot compared to then nung nagtatry ako mag-research in 2011, 2010.
Wala masyado.
Medyo nahihirapan ako maghanap ng materials in terms of related literature. One, yung mga books. Second, articles lang sa newspapers about the Balisong. And then wala pang masyadong groups online. Kaya nga nagulat ako na nagulat nga ako sa iyo, Alan, gano'n ka pa ng group eh. And then, nang nag-start ako mag-browse, marami na palang groups online. Medyo nahuli na ako. Naiwan ko na yung yung online groups. Pero I think it's an interesting project then to pursue. From the side of the photos, Kasi iba rin yung treatment ng photos compared sa film and documentary. Because this is print. So, I think may value pa rin kahit pa paano.
Especially now na yung interest is nag-gain ng momentum, but the makers are medyo, kumbaga, hindi ganun kalaki, hindi ganun ka-exponential yung pagdami ng mga makers, no? Palagay mo, Ram, sa community ninyo as blade makers, dumarami yung mga gustong bumili, pero yung makers na interested gumawa, medyo, kumbaga, meron dumadagdag, no? Meron mga nag-aaral, pero
May dumadagdag, pero yun nga, based on my experience sa mga nakakasama ko sa shop, mga gustong matuto, parang, let's say, age bracket is 18 to early 20s. Yung, alam mo yun, yung parang sa simula lang sila sa interesado, and then afterwards, pag nakita nila and na-experience nila kung gaano ka bigat yung pressure ng paggawa ng isang blade, lalo na pag na-experience pa nila yung mabasagan ng blade during the quench or during forging, mag-cook out yung steel, nanghihina agad yung loob nila, and then let's say 70% ng mga gustong matuto ay umaayaw pag na-experience yung mga ganung bagay. Ang dali nilang napaprustrate kasi yun, sa una, akala nila ang bilis gumawa ng blade, ang sarap gumawa ng blade, pero when it comes to those particular things na mangyayari sa part of making blade, doon sila nanghihina yung loob.
Yeah, it's very important the role that the likes of Mang Dado play, no? Kumbaga, support the makers and then the bridge to the consumers and then to propagate the culture, mga ganun. Kumbaga, mga bearers of light, parang ganun yung dating, no?
But on the upside naman, the scenario now, 2022, is way better than what it was 5-6 years ago, na nakakausap natin yung mga bladesmiths na nobody's interested to really learn dahil mahirap ang gumawa ng blades. But now what we're seeing is may kakulangan pa rin sa mga bladesmiths natin all over the country. However, at least medyo na-spike with all the noise in the blade forums that is happening, medyo na-spike yung interest ng mga younger generation to learn bladesmithing. And in fact, the custom makers where Ram is part of all over the country, medyo nag-solidify, may community na rin. At saka yung kagandahan is people are seeing already the need to step up the ante when it comes to blade making in the Philippines. So you're seeing actually bladesmiths here in the country importing and using different steels other than moly or junk steel lang. Nakikita na natin yung importations. Gumagamit na ng mas magagandang dekalidad ng mga materials sa mga bladesmiths natin. In fact, paminsan si Ram may source na hahanapin ng mga materials, may message, no? Saan tayo makakakuha ng ganito because ito lang kailangan ko talaga nagagamitin. So that's the upside of what we are right now. Pero syempre, kulang pa with regards to the demand. Mahaba ang pila when you're looking for something. Especially, I think, if somebody's interested to get a Chris Balisong right now or Campilang Balisong, I would like to believe there's going to be a waiting time that is just not readily available right now among our makers.
Yeah, so very, kumbaga, if Ray is gonna be doing an update on his book, it's very rich material now. So ang daming pagkukunan, ang daming
Oo nga eh. Sa tingin ko pa lang, parang overwhelming nga yung yung sabi nga ni Sir Randy, yung groups and communities are more solidified ngayon. So if one would endeavor or go about making another photo story about blades, marami nang pwedeng puntahan. Marami rin pwedeng tingnan na angles, kumbaga. Blade, yung mismong iba-ibang younger generation of blade makers, one. So, yun. And then also, not only about the balisong, but diba? Parang madami.
Tsaka follow up lang din dun sa sinabi ni Pops Randy. Yung sa culture sa namin, samahan namin. Yung makikita mo din na nagsha-sharean kami ng iba't ibang specialties like Sean Alonzo, he's very well known for kitchen knives, diba? And then kitang-kita naman talaga sa gawa ni Sean Alonzo na he's on the next level of making blades. And then andyan si Pops Dondon Dimpas. He's more of the ADC type fixed blade guy. And then proven naman yung gawa ni Pops Dondon kasi I have one of his work and up to now surviving naman yung work. Yung blade.
In fact, what's also prominent ngayon is even sharing of the materials among the custom makers. We are now seeing, you wouldn't be surprised if somebody claims using ATC RV2 here in the country. Better believe it. Talaga may ginagamit na, no? May access na tayo. 1095, dati-rati, it's just tall story because you can't get it locally. You have to import it. We have people using it na, kahit Damascus steels. We do have that already. And in fact, leveling up na. We have traditional smiths like the Diuna brothers who, unknown to many, actually sila nagturo sa Bhutan for a year, no, to teaching the kingdom of Bhutan proper bladesmithing na medyo nga it's a little bit sad na medyo napag-iwanan ang Pilipinas. Imagine mo, traditional bladesmiths natin lilipad pa sa ibang bansa para magturo, and we do not have that academy here in the country pa. Yun yung nakakalungkot.
Dapat kasama ka dun, Ram, no?
Dapat. Pero tagal eh. 5 buwan eh.
Homesick ka.
Umabot ng taon eh.
Umabot ng 1 taon.
Nagme-message yun sa si John eh. Mga nasa snow sila. Tapos yung mga kinikwento nila yung mga pagkain nila doon na medyo kakaiba daw yung pagkain. Kaya nakakamiss ang Pilipinas. Ganyan. Pero definitely, talagang Pinoy pride kasi sharing the technology and knowledge to other cultures. Tapos, it's not only them, not only bladesmithing. Ang daming Pinoy na nagtuturo ng different skills.
Yes.
Na nagpunta doon.
I think locally, the hunger actually locally, I think even Manong Dado is concerned about that, is yung parang wala kang mapapagpasahan years back. Kaya yung parang may sense of urgency that we really need to keep it alive because, if something happens to us, what happens next? 5 years ago, that was the story. Ngayon, andyan na yung interest, pero parang we could do better in terms of really ramping up. Hopefully, kung hindi kaya on a bigger scale, kahit sa community lang na mapasa, yung mapagpasahan ng knowledge.
May yung ginawa namin na documentary before about mga panday. And general na, syempre, kumaga, aging na yung mga panday. The Pinoy bladesmiths are tumatanda na. And then the general consensus of them was, they don't want their kids to go into bladesmithing because it's not lucrative enough. And because very taxing sa katawan, very physical labor, it's better for them. You see Mang Waldi na sa Cavite. Yung anak niya tumutulong sa kanya na magpanday pero mas pinipili na mag-tricycle, yung mga ganun. Kumbaga, it's very...
Speaking of Mang Waldi, nananawagan yung family niya sa akin. Parang may cancer yata si Tatay Waldi.
Oh, man.
So that was like a month ago. Mga early October, ganun.
Sige, message ko nga.
That is the reality, the sad reality of it. If you intend to be talagang made financially,
Mhm.
Bladesmithing locally, pag nandito ka, hindi siya ganun ka-lucrative. That is the reality of it. So most people,
Si Ram lang yung
maliban
lucrative.
kay Ram Makimot.
Ah,
Pero kalimitan who venture into blade making, it's out of passion. I think the key probably would be the international market if they are able to tap that, like what Magdado was able to do. It opens up the resources, for the family as a source of livelihood. But if you're just gonna say locally lang, medyo pwede nating marating, no? With especially with the community that we have right now that we're helping each other, kaya nating marating 'yon. Pero hindi siya ganun the reality is hindi ganun siya ka-lucrative, kaya nga medyo turn off siya sa mga kabataan na there's an easier way of making money. You go into the blades out of passion. It's not a bottom line making money. I'm pretty sure si Mamay Ramon's doing that out of passion. And the other makers as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Which is nakikita rin natin kumbaga sa buhay talaga, in the life of Mang Dado, no? Talagang kumbaga pag nakita mo siya, he embodies yung passion. Kumbaga nandun siya sa silong ng bahay niya, he's selling his wares, he talks about it all the time. He helps other people learn about the craft, learn about the culture. Parang
Flips the balisong with two hands, di ba?
yes, flash na ganun. Parang ganun talaga, no? Passionate individual. Ayun, si Ace Atienza, yun, no? Nandito na. Magandang gabi.
Gandang gabi.
Good evening.
Ayun. So guys, we are running around 2 hours in our Pinoy Blade Chat. This is the longest Pinoy Blade Chat so far. So I think we may be wrapping up our episode for tonight. So siguro let's round up again, last few words for Mang Diosdado Ona, for the family, for bladesmithing or blade culture in general. So siguro simula tayo sa pinakabata uli. Mamay Ramon.
Ako po nakikiramay sa pamilya ng Manong Dado. Malimit po ako dyan, papasyal po ako dyan. Bagamat lumisan po siya, habang buhay pong ipagmamalaki ng Balitong Batangas ang kanya nasimulan, at umasa po kayo na patuloy po namin papalakasin ang industriya sa kanyang inspirasyon. Hindi po namin isusuko ang laban na to para po ito sa kanya. Nakikiramay po muli kami. Maraming salamat.
Okay, thank you po. And next po, doon naman tayo sa medyo bata-bata. Yan, sumunod kay Mamay Ramon, si Manong Ram.
So, unang-una po, nakikiramay po kami sa family ni Tatay Ona. And then, sa lahat po ng na-inspire ni Tatay Ona, sana po isabuhay nyo or ipagpatuloy nyo yung mga nasimulan nyo at mga nasabi niya sa inyo is i-treasure natin lalo.
Okay, thank you. Si Sir Ray. Yan, few words po.
Muli, nakikiramin din po kami sa pamilya ni Mang Dado. Sabi po nga ni Sir Ram, sa mga taong na touch ni Mang Dado, patuloy na isabuhay ang kanyang mga nasabi na ang hirap talaga pag ganito. Pero yan po, yun, kikiramay po kami. Yun lang.
Okay, thank you, sir. And si Direk Paul. Paul, your mic is on mute. Sorry.
I'm gonna really miss Mang Dado. He changed my life. Through him, I found a purpose, and and it's all about right now to tell his story. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna tell his story to the world. Yeah, and he embodied, something even beyond Balisong and beyond the industry. There was just a strong spirit, human spirit about him. And he fought for what he believed till the end, and I think we're all better from knowing him and experiencing his passion and what he gave to the world, and what got me also is how dedicated he was to his family. He would always say that it was always for his family, but through that he did something very special for his community and province and country, and we're all gonna miss him.
Okay, thank you, Paul and Sir Randy.
Una sa lahat, salamat Tatay Ona sa legasiya na iniwan mo. At taos puso po kami nakikiramay sa pamilya Ona. Tuloy pong buhay. And for all those blade enthusiasts all over not just in the country but all over the world, even though si Mang Dado is no longer with us, let's continue to support his business, Ona's Batangas Blades, that is on Facebook. The blades are still there. Let's support and collect Mang Dado's pieces. And aside from that, let's also support the other Bali stores in Batangas. Supportan po natin bawat isa. Let's collect from all makers. That's the only way that we will be able to continue the blade industry in the country. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you. Siguro on my part is maybe we can learn from Mang Dado's life. No, when he was alive, he was full of passion, full of willingness to teach, willingness to share, willingness to help the community. And yun, for us collectors and for the makers also, sana ma-embody natin din yung the passion that was oozing out from Mang Dado. So, at maraming salamat sa mga kasama natin dito. Muli po sa pamilya po ni Mang Diosdado Ona, kami po ay lubos na nakikiramay sa paglisan po ni Mang Dado. Okay, so maraming salamat po sa mga kasama natin, Sir Ram, Sir Randy, Mamay Ramon, Direk Paul, Sir Ray Liesa. Meron pa ba kayong gustong iparating kung hindi naman sa any announcements or any...
Yeah, last na lang, bago tayo
Yeah.
umalis, just in case merong gusto tumulong sa pamilya Ona, naka-flash po yung GCash account po ng apo niya. If anybody wants to help, no amount is small enough. Malaking tulong po yan sa pamilya Ona po.
Absolutely. Well, I'm working with some others here in the States. We're gonna get a good collection to help the family as well. And same thing. I encourage everyone who's known Mang Dado to please help the family and send your GCash support.
Okay. So I guess with that, we will end this Pinoy Blade Chat broadcast. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nakikinig, nakasubaybay, nag-comment, nagpa-shout out sa ating sana kahit sa konting panahon nakapagbigay tayo ng tambay modes dito sa mga kumbaga lahat tayo nagulat sa mga pangyayari. So, yun. Maraming salamat po sa lahat. So, I will
Thank you, Direk, for having us here.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Nice meeting you, mga first and mga paps.
Salamat po.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alan, for putting this together. And thank you, Ray.
So, I will be ending this broadcast. Yeah. Bye-bye everyone on the stream. Until next Pinoy Blade Chat.